A few years ago, I was living in India. I spent about a year traveling India all throughout the country, and one of my favorite places was called Rishikesh. And Rishikesh is in the foothills of the Himalayas, and Rishikesh means the hair of the Rishi. So, this place is often given the title as the birthplace of yoga, as being the cradle of where yoga came out of. So it's a very sacred place. It's a place of pilgrimage. The Ganga runs through it, and it's full of beautiful Hindu temples, and everyone there is, they're doing meditation and yoga. There's yogis living in caves up in the hills, and it's a very beautiful place that's sort of crystallized in time in a way, where you still have this beautiful expressions of spirituality playing out. And this is where the Beatles went to learn meditation with Maharishi. And the Beatles, they call it the Beatles ashram. It's actually still there in Rishikesh, and you can go there and follow the steps of John Lennon and George Harrison and Paul McCartney and Ringo, and stand where they stood with their girlfriends, and all these different stories and life-changing sort of cultural moments and music that we got from this experience of them going to India. Something I found interesting when I was traveling through India is that some Hindus actually recognize the Beatles as being incarnations of God. In Hinduism, there's this idea that every so often God will incarnate as a way to elevate the consciousness of the planet to the next level. God incarnates in these different forms, like Buddha, for example. The Hindus believe that Buddha came to teach ahimsa because so much violence was going on in the name of spirituality. So Buddha came to say, we need to stop killing animals, and we need to practice ahimsa to get to the next level. And many Hindus believe that the Beatles are actually an expression of this. There's even a hill, I think in Dehradun, that's named after George Harrison. And I really like this idea because, think about what the Beatles did. If you're a Hindu, the Beatles were basically one of the biggest bridges from Eastern spirituality coming to the West, coming to England, Europe, to the US. A whole wave of spirituality was happening because the Beatles went to India and were sort of expressing this. And George Harrison, more so than anybody, got real deep into this. He was living basically with Prabhupada and the Hare Krishnas. He even produced a whole album of the Radha Krishna Temple in London. Amazing album of a bunch of different kirtans and mantra music that George Harrison produced. So I think it's cool to play around with this idea. You have to think of the kind of life that these guys went through. The type of pilgrimage that must be to be Beatles famous. You hear Russell Brand talk about this sometimes, because Russell Brand was also obviously famous, and he says that I've had everything. I've been given everything. I've been famous, I've been poor, I've been addicted to drugs, I've had women, and now there's nothing left but spirituality for me. There's nothing left. I've had it all, none of it's worked. I'm at the peak of the mountain with women and drugs, alcohol, everything I could ever imagine that people sort of take on to cover their problems, and it didn't work. So now the only thing left for me is enlightenment, and I imagine this is where the Beatles were at. They had everything. When you have all of that, there's nothing really else to work for besides spirituality. So I think, I don't know for sure because I don't know the Beatles, but I think this is the sort of pilgrimage that they were on. They had everything that all of us are sort of working towards. Everyone's dream is to have all the stuff that the Beatles have, fame, power. But it didn't work. And I believe that's why people start seeking spirituality, especially in these positions. So, is it possible that the Beatles came during a materialistic culture. They came with a materialistic message that eventually transcended materialism. It's cool, and it's cool to hear the Indians that follow this idea to talk about it. You know, even in some places you'll see pictures of the Beatles. And I spent a lot of time in the Beatles ashram, meditating. It must have been incredible back when they were there. Check out this clip of it here.
The Beatles came here to Rishikesh in 1968 to learn transcendental meditation from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And I feel like the Beatles coming to Rishikesh and coming to India played such a huge role in the Eastern spirituality making its way to the West. So the next stop while we are here is to visit the ashram where it all started. Let's go.
I am a part of the belief that nothing happens on accident. Everything that happens in the universe is the result of a previous action, and that previous action can be traced all the way to the first action. And this sort of pattern or dominoes falling is just falling where it's meant to fall, and the Beatles were a part of that. And I think that they were meant to raise the evolution of the world because they did. They did in a lot of ways, you know? I mean, still today, I get so, I feel the soul in some of the Beatles' music, especially George Harrison's music. I feel the soul in it, and I feel the truth in the essence of the soul just wanting to express itself through their music. And to me, that's what the whole universe is doing. The whole universe is just the grand soul expressing itself through infinite potential of creativity, just as sort of like, blah, and let's see what happens. You know, like when you throw paint at a canvas or something. There's no accidents. Even though it falls where it falls, it's still all art. So I think, in a way, I buy into this idea that the Beatles were here for a reason, and that reason was to maybe shake things up a little bit in the realm of spirituality and materialism. So let me know what you think. Have you ever thought about this idea? Did you ever hear about this idea that people, there might be prophets walking around the world right now, you know? And they might not even know it themselves. So my name is Dakota. This is my YouTube channel. I hope you like this video. If you're interested in checking out the Beatles Ashram video, you can just type it in, Dakota Wint Beatles Ashram, or it'll be in the description below. Same with my Instagram. Make sure to turn that little bell notification on so you can see when I post videos like this. And that's it. I got nothing else to say. Much love. Hare Krishna.